Hi guys, welcome back to 100% Mags. Hopefully you can hear us. Um, but we are going to be talking about in this video today the who's in, who's out, all the latest transfer news. So without further ado, of course, if you can, please hit a like on this video. Try and get it out there to as many people as possible. And of course, let's talk about my thoughts on what's going on at the moment, really, with all of this transfer news that's just out of nowhere started to come, for us Newcastle United fans. We're seeing news, of players like Calvert-Lewin being linked with where we're seeing Max Kilman of Wolves being linked with where we're seeing Tomori of AC Milan, so many players being linked with where players being linked with moves away from where as well, the likes of, Callum Wilson we've seen as well. But we're going to talk about it in this video today, so if you can, please hit a like on the video. Let's try and get as many likes as possible. I'm going to set a target of 50 likes for this video. If we can hit that, then that would be fantastic. And if you're new around here, or if you haven't done it yet, then hit that subscribe because, of course, I am on the road to 2.5k subscribers. Really trying to get there to that number and then push on from there. But yeah, let's talk about, of course, the latest news going around Newcastle United at the moment. I see Liam there in the chat. Of course, our fans need to remember our squad depth is weak, so Calvert-Lewin and Kilman makes sense. Let's talk about that first. The links with Calvert-Lewin. I've got to say, I'm not the biggest fan of Calvert-Lewin, to be honest. He hasn't really impressed as much when I have seen him play for Everton. He'd probably be a really good number two forward behind Isak. Obviously, that will be what Newcastle United are trying to bring him in for. That's what the owner's trying to bring him in for. Eddie's trying to bring him in for, to be that number two behind Isak, because we know Isak's going to be the main man. We know Isak's going to be the future for Newcastle United in the attack. And of course, Calvert-Lewin would be a perfect second man, but definitely not the main man for me. So, if we can get a decent deal on him, then, I'd go for the lad, bring him into the club, because he will get with goals. And especially, if you give him the chance, like we've given Anthony Gordon a chance coming from Everton, under Eddie Howe. Eddie does wonders with these kinds of players. And again, he's another English player as well, so it is something that Eddie does like. In his squad, he does like a lot of English players. But yeah, I think Calvert-Lewin would be a good option as a number two behind Isak. But anything more than that, and it's just not doable in my book. Kilman, I've seen the deal on Kilman. I didn't agree with that deal, to be honest. Elliot Anderson in a part X plus cash, I believe it was, for Max Kilman of Wolves. I mean, Elliot Anderson has a lot left. He's still only young, and he's got a lot there that he can give to Newcastle moving forward. I don't see why we would want to get rid of him this soon, because he's still very young. He's still got a chance, to improve himself as well. Max Kilman is not a bad player, but I wouldn't be giving up one of the local lads in Elliot Anderson to bring somebody in, that, yes, he might be a good player, but he's not a local lad. He's not going to have that same passion, that same drive that Elliot Anderson's going to give. Elliot Anderson's going to give that little bit extra in the games because he is a local lad. So for me, I wouldn't go for the Kilman one, to be honest. And Elliot Anderson said that he wants to stay at Newcastle. He wants a new contract. So I hope the owners do honour that. I hope the owners do honour Elliot Anderson's wish for a new contract. I see another comment there from Liam. West Ham also had a bid rejected for Kilman. yeah, let's talk about West Ham. You know, West Ham's at the moment looks like they're being heavily linked with a move for Callum Wilson from where. There's been reports going around saying that that is going to be 26 million, according to some people. I think it's FTB Joe on Twitter. He is actually coming out and saying that it's West Ham have sent an offer of approximately 26 million to Newcastle for the striker, for Callum Wilson, of course. If we can get that, you know, for Callum Wilson, that is a deal. That's a deal in my book. You know, a player that is pushing the other side of 30 with a lot of injuries. Has been out quite a lot last season. And if we can get 26 million off West Ham for Callum Wilson, we should be jumping at that offer, because that is a really good offer. I don't think anybody else will be offering anything close to that for Callum Wilson, but definitely brilliant offer if that is to be true, that West Ham have offered 26 million. I think Newcastle United should snap their hands off for that deal, because that is money that can be, you know, redistributed into better areas in the squad, you know, and possibly even distributed into that Calvin Lewin deal, you know. So that's an option right there. I've seen reports going around saying that we're being linked with Tomori of AC Milan, a player that I've been keeping a close eye on, somebody that I was quite interested in seeing Newcastle hopefully go for, and we are interested in him. And it's saying that, of course, offers could be about 40 to 50 million euros. Could open discussions for to get Tomori to Newcastle now. If we got Tomori, that would be absolutely huge for us moving forward, because that would mean that we'd have Sven Botman at left centre back and Tomori at right centre back, something that AC Milan themselves were trying to get when we were going for Sven Botman, and then we ended up winning and got Sven Botman to Newcastle. AC Milan obviously lost out, and Paolo Maldini was very upset at them losing out on that deal, and that's why he's no longer the sporting director at AC Milan. So if we could get Tomori, that would be absolutely huge. Again, another English player as well, so he would fit that bill of English players that Eddie Howe likes to bring in. Of course, trying to keep a very homegrown talent from our country, of course, fellow countrymen in the squad. So that would be a really good deal if we could get, you know, Tomori in. Don't know if it would be 40 to 50 million. That's what's being discussed to open the discussions, but maybe we could do some sort of negotiation, try and bring that down a little bit, get a bit more around a more acceptable amount, maybe. But even if it is that, it's still a really good deal when you consider what kind of player Tomori is and what he can give to the team moving forward as well. And he's still only young. He's not too old neither. Sean Taylor there in the comments, 3 left-sided centre-backs makes no sense. I think Philip Tomori is a right-sided centre-back, mate. That's what I've heard. And from what I've seen, he looks to be a right-sided centre-back. So we'll have to wait and see on, you know, what happens on that deal. John Sinclair in the chat. Hi, John, mate. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Big up call. Hope you're well, my guy. The meltdown is incredible regarding Minter. I don't want him to leave. However, if it means improving the team, then cool. Keep up the work, bro. Cheers, mate. Yeah, talk about Minter as well. I agree. I don't want Minter to leave. He's hasn't even played a game for Newcastle United yet, and there's already reports going around that there's many clubs interested in the likes of Olympique Lyon, Borussia Dortmund, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Feyenoord, Liverpool. You know, loads of clubs are interested in Yakuba Minter. That to me, you know, really starts setting off alarm bells that we have an absolute wonder kid on our hands here. And looking what he did last season in the Dutch league. Yes, I know it's a Dutch league, but looking at what he did last season in the Dutch league for Feyenoord under Arne Slot, the lad absolutely tore it apart. Now, if he can do that in the Premier League, then, like I say, we have an absolute wonder kid on our hands here. He's already been dubbed the Gambian Messi, and the Gambian fans, of course, themselves sticking to that. This lad could be absolutely huge. Yakuba Minte, he's supposedly, according to reports, agreed personal terms with an unknown club. The reports, from what I've seen from a few different accounts online so far, is that that club is Borussia Dortmund. Apparently, the fee is meant to be 33 point odd mil, plus a buyback clause of 65 million for Yakuba Minte if he turns out to be an absolute world-class talent. And then, of course, also added on to that clause is the option for Newcastle to be given the first refusal on any offers put in by other clubs. Now, I could see why he may be interested in going to somewhere else. He maybe thinks that he won't get the first team games here. He won't be getting, a lot of game time here moving forward. But I think the lad does need to give it a chance. And I think Newcastle will give Yakuba Minte the chance this season. If he does stick around, then I think he will get given the chance in the first team this season, because what he did last season in the Dutch league was just absolutely fantastic. He tore the Dutch league apart. And yes, I know, like I've said, it is the Dutch league. But if he can do that in the Premier League, then this lad will be an absolute talent. But that's my thoughts on Yakuba Minte's news, of course. And like I say, hopefully he does stick around. Looking at another comment, sorry, here by Liam. James Trafford still doesn't convince me, as he got dropped out one of the worst Burnley teams. I've got to say, I'm a fan of James Trafford. I do like the goalkeeper. He does seem pretty decent goalkeeper. He's quite tall as well, and he's really young. So I'm sure he wouldn't mind being a number 2 behind the likes of Nicky Pope, learning from Pope as well. We know that Dubravka is going to be leaving the club. We know that Karius is, gone from the club as well. So that only leaves with, at the moment, in the goalkeeping department, Nicky Pope and Mark Gillespie, of course. And then any youngsters, down in the youth team. But if we can bring somebody in that is willing to be a number 2, I would love to bring in Mamad Dazashvili from Valencia, but unfortunately, I don't know if that deal's going to be possible or not, because it seems as though things have went a little bit quiet on that one. So we'll have to wait and see. But if we could bring somebody in that is happy to be a number 2 behind Pope, learn from Pope, and then take over the number 1 spot, then, I think we should go for it. If James Trafford is willing to do that, is willing to come in and be the number 2 behind Nicky Pope, and then, take over the reins once Pope moves on from Newcastle, then, that's a deal that is definitely worth doing, because he's a very young player and he is a very tall player as well. So definitely a deal that I think we should be pursuing quite a bit, and hopefully, it does come off. But my main target for the goalkeeping department, like I say, is Mamad Dazashvili. He is absolutely fantastic, and I would love to see him join Newcastle United, but it's went a little bit quiet, like I say, on that one. So we'll have to wait and see if anything else picks up in the Mamad Dazashvili news on his move to Newcastle. Liam again with another comment. Salah Minter is no surprise. Lots of clubs do it. Sell young for cheap. Sign young for cheap, sell for a huge profit. Yeah, it is something that gets done a lot these days. It is a way, of going around FFP problems and stuff like that. But hopefully, you know, like I say, the lad stays, because I'd love to see what he can do at Newcastle United. You know, he hasn't played in a black and white shirt yet, and I think he could benefit with hugely. And he's a right winger as well, which is an area that we are looking to improve on. We are looking to get an improvement in that area where, you know, Miggy plays and Murphy plays. You know, we're looking to improve that area, and I think we've got perfect replacement, you know, right there in Yakuba Minter. And then we could go out and get somebody else as well, either on a free, because there's quite a lot of good talent out there at the moment on free transfers, or we could go and get somebody, you know, with a bit of a name, and can play more of a rotation role in the squad, and then use your Kuba Minter in there as well. So there's plenty of options going down that path. But like I say, hopefully Minter does stay, you know, at the club, because he hasn't played a game yet for Newcastle. And I would love to see what he can do in a black and white shirt. Lance Burton, new at the channel. Hi, welcome to the channel, Lance. Kilman would be a great addition, but I can't see the Elliot Anderson swap having any truth. Anderson would surely be a straight sell, considering it's 100% profit towards FFP. Yeah, exactly. If he was to move, then I think it would be some sort of, you know, permanent move with money, like you say, you know, because it is 100% profit towards FFP for anybody that comes from the academy. And talking about players from the academy as well, we have seen, you know, news going around about Sean Longstaff and him wanting to move away. Well, him being linked with moves away from Newcastle, and you know, people like Leicester being linked with him, clubs like Leeds United being linked with him as well. I think there will be a few of the players like Longstaff, like Murphy, like Almiron, you know, they will be moving on from the club, and where they go remains to be seen, to be honest. But I think there will be maybe a couple of deals out to Saudi Arabia. That is an area that we can try and profit on a little bit. If not, you know, pushing too much towards it, because there's quite a lot of people out there, you know, criticize every time we try to make a little move or a little deal with Saudi Arabia to sell a player over there. We're seeing what happened with the Maxi deal. You know, we ended up having to sell them at 25 million, which I thought was well below the value of what Maxi was worth. You know, 45 million would have been a better fee for Maxi, but it is what it is. That deal's done with now. We can't change it. But you know, there's plenty of news going around about all of the transfers. There's plenty of talk happening right now, and of course, another one was Olympic Lyon. You know, entering the race for Yakuba Minter. There was also plenty of other ones that's been mentioned as well. If I can try and get, I can try and see a few more to talk about with you guys. I mean, who would you like to see join Newcastle? You know, let us know in the comments what you would like to see join Newcastle. Who would be your target this transfer window? You know, that's a discussion that we can have on who you'd like to see join Newcastle. I mean, there's plenty of options out there right now. I've seen Chais of Italy being mentioned. He's been mentioned for quite a few windows. I've seen, you know, quite a few other players mentioned as well. That would be really good signings for Newcastle. But who would be, you know, your choices if you had a chance to pick one signing in this window? Who would you pick to join Newcastle United? And of course, we'll talk, whilst you're thinking about that, we will talk a little bit about the news as well, about Dan Ashworth. Newcastle, of course, is standing firm on their valuation of 20 million for Dan Ashworth. And Newcastle's owners will not be fazed by Man U's part owner Jim Ratcliffe sympathising, seeking in the media and saying that Ashworth is on an 18-month gardening leave, and of course he'll remain on that gardening leave as well. But I mean, that's another thing, you know, we're seeing a lot of talk about Ashworth, you know, and a lot of talk from Man U complaining about Ashworth as well, in saying that, you know, we're not going to just give him up for free. Rightly so, we're not going to give him up for free, because at the end of the day, you know, that is business. At the end of the day, you look at the contract, it's legally binding in the contract that there's a 20 million release clause fee in there for Dan Ashworth. And, you know, Man United are not wanting to pay it. We're seeing Ratcliffe coming out, you know, saying that he's never seen gardening leave in any other industry before. Well, clearly, you know, he's not paying attention, because it is in every industry, because this is a fundamental thing with business, that you have something like that there to stop people going to your competitors and giving away, you know, your trade secrets, giving away, you know, information that you don't want outside of your office, outside your business, you know. But at the end of the day, it is quite fascinating to hear that he hasn't actually seen it before. Clearly, he's probably playing dumb on that one, because I can't see why he wouldn't have heard of that, especially at his age as well. You know, surely he's heard of that before. And Man United fans, Liam here, Man United fans, seeing we've got a small club mentality, I honestly think they hurt us the most. Um, yeah, I fully agree with you, Liam, mate. I mean, Man United fans are seriously out of their gourd, saying that we've got a small club mentality. I mean, these you know, fans that are screaming for players, you know, like Johnny Evans, players that they got rid of ages ago, and they're coming back into their team, and they're happy to see them there. It's weird. It's strange, because they didn't like them when they first were there. So, you know, who really does have the small club mentality? I mean, it's got to be Man United, in my opinion. But I don't know. It's very confusing. It's very annoying. And like we've said so many times, I've said so many times, you know, on the channel already, and I just keep repeating myself, and it sounds like a record, I know. But if you're not going to pay the 20 million for Dan Ashworth, then just bugger off, you know, because at the end of the day, that is in the contract. It is legally binding. So at the end of the day, if you're not going to pay it, then you're clearly messing the people around, and you just need to move on, you know, and go look elsewhere. Go find somebody that's free in the Sporting Director market that, you know, you don't want to have to wait 18 months for, because clearly that's something that's a problem here, that they don't want to have to wait 18 months for the gardening leave to finish. But that is it, you know. If they pay the 20 million, then I'm sure they will get him, you know, probably not straight away, but by the end of the transfer window, because they're not going to get him in this first transfer window, even if they pay the 20 million. That is, from my opinion, from what I've picked up. You know, it doesn't seem that that is the way it is going to go. But anyway, I don't want to make this too long of a video. I don't want to be, of course, rambling on and nonsense and boring you all to death. So everything said in this video, you know, let us know what you think down in the comments below. And the question for today, of course, is, like I've said, if you had the chance to pick one player to join Newcastle United, who would it be? Of course, and you know, how would you go about approaching this transfer window if you were the man in charge? If you were the person in the hot seat picking the transfers, how would you go about this window? Let us know down in the comments below. Until next time, thanks for watching. Hit that like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.